Hello, I'm Ian. Welcome to Somerset News Network. I'm becoming extremely worried, and we have to stop the idea of this. We've got to have a civil war. We've got the far left and Antifa and the anarchists all crying for anarchy. We got the right crying for a civil war. This has to stop. We can do this peacefully. On the 24th of May, there is a national strike. Left and right have to come together. We all have to come together under the tyranny of this Labour government. Now, I'm a history buff. I did history at school, and I've been learning about history ever since, picking up bits of information here and there. Now, we had the tyranny under King John, and the barons met the king at Runnymede, and he signed the Magna Carta. Our basic rights and liberties were laid out. Then Edward I had a few little problems, and he reaffirmed the Magna Carta in 1297. We then had a few acts reaffirming our common law right and our constitutional rights, liberties of the subjects. Due process of law comes from an act of 1354, which they say started the legal profession. Now, the big one, 1688. We were under the tyranny of King John. King John was a Catholic. He wouldn't let the Protestants hold office or use firearms. It was the tyranny of James II. We had the Monmouth Rebellion in 1685, but that didn't solve the problem because we lost. I'm a Somerset lad. Sedgemoor's only 20 miles down the road, the other side of Weston-super-Mare. And they talk about the people from Sedgemoor fleeing. The King's troop beat them, to be honest. They call it the Pitchfork Rebellion because they didn't have the arms. And they fled. And they say my parish church in Tickenham has a musket ball hole in it. Well, it's a basketball dent, really. And that was the King's men trying to find people who had fled Sedgemoor. That's the theory that goes around the story. But we were under tyranny of King James II. The elites, I suppose you would call them, the barons, got together, most of them Protestant, and invited Mary, James II's daughter, and her husband, William of Orange, over to be joint king and queen. Now, historians say, oh, it was William of Orange only, but it wasn't. It was Queen Mary as well. And people forget that. They were joint king and queen. Mary was entitled to be queen, and William of Orange was invited over. Now, that was in 1688. We had the Bill of Rights, which we still have today. A little bits of it have been edited, but only for the good. Like jury trial, for instance. That's been increased, the rights of that. But it lays out what King James II did wrong. Having a standing army in the country. Going to war and using the treasury without the consent of Parliament. And then you got the Bill of Rights. It gave us the right of free speech. It also gave us a right that we couldn't be fined or have a forfeiture before conviction. And that's an important one which people forget. Then we had the Rebecca riots. 1839, was it? To 1843, if I remember my history correctly. Men in Wales dressed up as ladies. They weren't transgender. They just dressed up as ladies. They got to the tolls because they were campaigning against the toll roads. They couldn't afford to go to the market and sell their goods. They couldn't afford to buy the grain for next year because of the tolls. So they dressed up as ladies. They got to the toll and sort of beat the toll keeper up. And that was the Tolpuddle murders. Now they were happening all over the country, these riots, against the tax on the roads. What do we have now? We have a toll road tax to enter our city centres. Oh, they call it an emission charge. Low emission area. No, it's not. It's a toll. And we made those illegal in 1834. People in this country, we've had the Labour government since July last year, 9 months. And they have pissed off almost 90% of the population. Unbelievable. Now, normally a government has a go at one, like Maggie Thatcher had a go at the miners. And Teddy had a go at the train drivers and all this sort of thing. They picked off different groups, but they were never big enough. But now you've got a Labour government with over 400 MPs that can't be removed without a direct hit from a Zeppelin raid. You've got a leader who's got as much personality as a slug. And we're under tyranny again. 1815, 1688, and now 2025. Tyranny of a government against its people. We have to stand up and be counted. We have to try and campaign and get the government to change its mind before it goes ugly. I do not want to see a civil war. But that is the way that commentators are talking, not me. I'm trying to stop a civil war. But I've seen about half a dozen videos this morning saying that people are ready for a revolution. And the cocktail is right for a revolution. Now it's up to us, the ordinary people, to say, hang on a minute. We don't like what's going on, but we don't want that. We've got to try and persuade the government to change its mind. We've got the elections in May, and I would suggest you don't vote Labour. Let's just get rid of all the Labour councils. Starmer will then have to resign. He'll be forced to resign by his backbenchers, because they know the next election they'll be out. And the one thing an MP wants is to keep his seat. So if we can not vote Labour in the next election, vote for anybody else, doesn't matter. But I'm going to vote independent. There's a lad that's in the election here, and I think he's a good one. But we have got to stick together. The people have got to stick together. And we've got to try and stop going over the cliff. We're on the edge of the cliff at the moment, looking over. And this government is pushing us closer and closer and closer and doink. We don't want to go doink. We don't want to go over the edge. We've got to hold back. But we've got to try and persuade this government that what they're doing is creating the problems that we've got. Ed Miliband has just come out and said he wants all narrowboats to be electric. Low emission narrowboats. There are some narrowboats that are electric, but they're very, very expensive. And they can't go on long distances because it doesn't produce. The solar panels that you can put on the top of a narrowboat aren't enough to keep the narrowboat going. They tell me that if you keep the solar panels on all day, you've got about 6 hours boating the next day. But then you'd have to stop for a day. And sometimes they want to travel 2 or 3 days to get to the next town or the next event or wherever they're going. So it's like having an electric car. You've got an electric car. I watched the McMaster. He's got a Porsche. Now, Porsche electric car, got to be one of the best in the country, best in the world. But he is finding the problems. He has to work out his journey. He has to charge it up before he goes, then goes on his journey. Then he's got to charge it up before he gets there, so he's got enough to get back to a charger so that he can then get home. And it said he's supposed to do, I don't know, 170 miles, but in the winter he finds he's only doing 120 miles. And now they recommend that the ion batteries, you don't charge them over 80% and you don't use them and go lower than 20% to make the battery last longer. So you're only using 60% of the battery. So you've only got 60% range that you had when you started. So you're constantly charging the car up. One EV driver on YouTube works his journey out, because he's got to have stops anyway, and he's got a Tesla, so he's getting a cheaper rate anyway because he goes on Tesla chargers, and they're on most service stations. And he pulls in, he charges up for 15 to 20 minutes, and he has a break, and he drives from Devon, Cornwall all the way up to Cumbria regularly. And he has breaks on the way, and he's always charging it up. But if you've got a petrol or diesel car, you fill the tank up, you get there, you fill the tank up again to come back. No problems. EV, electric vehicles, are not what they're cracked up to be. More tyranny of the government. You've got to go electric by 2030. It's only 5 years. My car is 5 years old now. I got another 5 years in it. Oh, what's an electric car going to cost me? Oh, about 30,000 to 40,000 pounds for a cheap one. But I want a van type because I got stuff to carry around. Oh, that's going to be 40,000, 50,000, maybe 60,000. If it's classed as a van, then you've got to have an MOT every year. And now you've got to pay tax on it. If it's over £40,000, it's then an electric, it classed as an EV luxury car. If it's over £40,000, it's classed as a luxury car. Well, if you've got a van, it's not a luxury car, it's a work vehicle. You know, let's get honest. This is the tyranny of this Labour government. It's just unbelievable. They want to start a war in Ukraine. They want our troops to go out there. Oh, they're going to be peacekeepers. Well, there's no peace at the moment, is there? Russians, Ukrainians are still fighting. At least Trump is trying to create peace. What we should have done is back Trump up. Stop the aid, the military aid, going to Ukraine. Then that would have stopped Zelensky in his tracks. Now he's getting aid from France and he's getting aid from Britain, and I think Canada's joined in as well. So you're continuing the slaughter out there. We have to stop the war. Once again, it's the tyranny of a Labour government. And this has to stop, and we have to persuade it that it ain't right. So, May the 24th, in a town near you, in the larger towns, there is a national strike. Do a placard. Why this tyranny of this Labour government is affecting you. Everyone's got their own different gripe with the government. But we're all, if we got a car, everybody's going to be affected. Look at the price of, road tax now. I had an SUV. I got rid of it and got myself a smaller car. But my SUV would now have cost me £2,500 a year. I already paid £2,000 for it. It was a second-hand old one. You know, it was 15 years old when I had it. But me and my wife wanted to drive the same car, so we've gone for a Ford. Low-emission diesel Ford. Because occasionally we carry some weight and it's got the torque in it. Now, all book in the 24th of May. It's a Saturday, so you don't have to have time off work. And go to the local demonstration in your town. Keep it peaceful. Take the family, have a picnic. Have a day out. Meet everybody. There'll be all sorts of people there. There'll be OAPs who've lost their winter fuel allowance. There'll be farmers. Might even be a few tractors, you never know. But that's where our food comes from. And the tyranny of this Labour government has upset them as well. I think it would be easier if I worked out who this government hasn't affected. The only people that seem to be on the up and up are people that fit solar panels or wind turbines. I don't think anybody else is going to do any good under this Labour government. Anyway, Ian, Somerset News Network, signing off. And remember, the laws of England are the birthright of the people. Act of Settlement, 1700. And I'll keep reminding you every now and then. Bye-bye.